when they allegedly took the positive test from you, but just take me through how it works. So do you have to urine test, blood test? What's the deal? What's the process?
Yeah, we have to do a urine test. Then
after every event, or just randomly?
It's random, and they can also come to your house and do random testing. And you select an hour. And my hour is generally in the morning.
So then it's a urine test.
And it's urine or blood. They can do both.
Oh, they can ask for blood too?
They can ask for blood. The majority of the times is urine and blood, yeah.
Urine and blood. So, and you give an A sample, a B sample, or something like that. You give more than one sample?
It's just the same sample. It's just,
right. They just put it in different vials.
Just put B and an A.
Yeah. So I followed it, and it was a bit of a shock to everybody. If you had taken something like that, what would be the net effect of it, like physically, in a biochemical way or a biological way? What would something like that do for you? Or an 800-meter run?
I guess, I suppose you get fitter quicker.
But what's it do to your blood, or something? Build muscle? What's it do? It's just, what's it supposed to do? Like, is it supposed to make you have your lungs get bigger or something? I don't know.
I think it increases your red blood cells, which makes you
more red blood cells, which carries more oxygen around your system.
Yeah.
Which
it's
allows
endurance.
And more for endurance.
Yeah.
So, and how'd you feel? Like, how'd you know about it? Like, what happens?
They come tell you. Like, they come to your house and tell you.
They said, we got this result.
Yeah.
They physically come to your house.
They physically come to your house, yeah.
And then what happens?
And then you can kind of ask for your B sample.
Yeah.
And which I did, and then you kind of on a waiting process until that B sample comes.
Yeah.
And which you learn a lot when you go through something like that. You learn a lot, and you learn that, like, at that time you think you're like doing, because the B sample, I mean, it's the same sample. It never comes different.
Yeah.
Like, why would it come different? If it's one's positive, the other one should be positive. So
it's taken on the same day.
Same day. Yeah. So you still selected. At the time, I didn't even know if there was a point, because they always come the same. But somehow they came different. I was like, well, that's an error on your side then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't they test the B sample straight away? What's the point of...
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I mean, why do they go, oh, shit, hang on, this one has given us an anomaly. We're not going to go and see. We'll just test the B sample first.
Yeah.
And then they're different.
They should do that. But at that stage, I don't think anyone's really trying to do you any favors, right?
Why? I mean, it seems like they're trying to catch out.
I also think because if the A sample is positive, they just think the B sample is going to be positive too, because it's the same sample.
Yeah.
But I also think
therefore they should test it straight away.
Should test it straight away. Such a big accusation.
Totally.
You should do all the work.
The gravity of the accusation is so great.
Yeah.
That they should, before they make the accusation,
and
then they commence this whole process of the gravity, that they should test the B sample straight away and go, Absolutely. Hang on, let's just talk to Peter, because there's an anomaly between the two.
Yeah. And I think if you had the time to come to my house, you've obviously had the time to test the B sample before coming. Yeah. Coming as well. Like, if you're going to come accuse me of something like that, and which is hard, right? I think if you're not on the right mindset, it could destroy you. So if you're coming to do that, you better be sure. Like, there's some things you just can't be incompetent in, and that's one of them, because you're putting someone else's life in.
And who was which organisation doing it? Is it WADA? Who's doing the testing?
I actually don't know who does the testing. I think the testings are done by, I think, Sports Integrity maybe, and in the lab, and then they're taken out to Germany and whatnot, and that's where the results.
Was this before anything that was important for you, or was this pre-event?
Yeah, it was actually pretty important. Australian of the Year award. That's
pretty important.
That is pretty important.
Like,
and I was actually looking forward to go to it.
And how close was it to the event?
I think it was just 2 days before. What? Before it was leaked and publicly was.
So, but what is the obligation of the testing authority to publish it?
It shouldn't have been published.
Well, then how did it get out?
No one claims to ever know. It was leaked somewhere.
Do you get a call by media?
No, I actually didn't. I got called by my agent, and he said that it's been leaked.
So, in other words, a newspaper's going to print it, or a radio station or a television station is going to talk about it.
And he printed it out so quick.
And what was your response? How did you feel?
At that stage, I actually didn't know how to feel, right? Because I just didn't know how to feel. I was kind of at home, and like I think the first thing I actually thought about was my family. I was like, man, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough
for them.
Yeah, and because with such accusation, you're just not you on your own now. It's like everyone else is put into question, like your family, your character, your coach, your staff team. So I just thought about all those people. I think I was the last person I thought about, which I think was tough. I should have thought about myself as well.
Yeah, you've got to be a bit selfish. I think when it comes to reputation. Yeah. Did you reach out to anybody?
Yeah, I reached out. Because I knew the results before I was waiting for the B sample, so I knew. So I actually reached out to my older brother, because I didn't know how to communicate that to my parents, right? So I said, if it ever gets leaked, like I need you to explain it to them, and that they'll be okay. And then obviously I reached out to my coach, let him know straight away, and that's it. And my manager, like no one else really.
So what do you do then? Just stay home? I mean, I don't know.
You literally just stay home and you're just waiting.
Keep your head down.
Keep your head down. But at that stage, I was like, surely they made a mistake. This is crazy. And I was still gonna go to Australian of the Year Awards. And then after that leak, it was like, now, like, what do you do?
So what does the Australian of the Year Awards organisation do? They ring you and say you can't come, or
no? They actually, you know what? They were actually really good. They're actually really good about it. They said, look, I remember I got a call and I thought it was pretty good of them. And they said, look, we know what's going on and we'd love to still have you if you want to come, but just to let you know, we've had the most media requests to be here.
They'll be everywhere.
And
you'll end up
and that's your decision to make.
You'll just steal the night.
Yeah, and you steal the night. And I said, and that's exactly, that was my decision, was based on that. I said, I do not want to steal that night for anyone. I'm not coming.
I mean, for a young man, relatively young man at that stage as well, you leave a war-torn or a civil war-torn Sudan, you go to live in Egypt, you end up in Toowoomba, then you go to Perth, and you go through this whole process, and you're representing your country. You get nominated to be Australian of the Year,
which is pretty cool because you weren't even Australian like 20 years ago.
Totally, it's like there's this magnificent sort of momentum.
Yeah,
for you and your family and everybody else, your whole community, who you represent.
It was really good energy, right?
Totally, and then you just get whack.
Yeah.
Like you've gone from the penthouse to the proverbial in minutes.
Minutes, yeah.
How do you pick yourself up? Like,
I think people played a big part, and as like we spoke before that, the identity out of sport is really important, and I've always worked on that. Like, again, your faith plays a big part, and you just like you're just more at peace. You're like, You just leave the rest to God, right? You can do all you can do. And at that point, there's nothing you could actually do.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do. Like, what was there to do other than control your own mindset and your own happiness? And that's not with saying that you don't go through it. You go through this roller coaster of emotions. Like, you feel like the whole world's against you. You feel betrayed. And like that feeling of betrayal is tough because like I've done nothing wrong. Like, this is one is not fair. Two, I'm just trying to run. Like, that's all I've ever tried to do. And then the worst part is like, well, who's bringing these allegations against you? Like,
then you start to look for the blame.
And then you look for the blame, and that's when you lose probably the most sleep, because you can never truly know who it is, who leaked it, what was the intentions behind it. You just never know.
And why would they be bothered doing it? Why?
Like, why? Like,
who have upset?
Like, why me, right? I think that's where you lose the most peace. I think that's still where I lose the most peace trying to think about it.
Today?
Because you just don't have answers. You want answers.
Yeah.
If you're done wrong, at least give me answers, right?
Yeah.
But there's no answers.
Do you have suspicions?
Yeah, I have my suspicions, I think. I definitely have my suspicions. And but the best thing about it, I think, the public was actually really good. That was pretty cool. Like,
how did you gauge that?
I think one, from the love and support you get through messages,
like on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah, like social media. Like you expect your family to be with you, which is great. But then you also, you don't expect, you like, when you go through something like that, you think, oh man, now they might turn against you, but no one really did. Like, of course you have those keyboard warriors and whatnot, but they were always there. Even when I was doing great, it was oh, you're not Australian, you're not that. Yeah. So that was always there. Like, you kind of get used to that. But I think it would have hurt quite a lot if majority of the public kind of turned against you. But they didn't.
And what was the process? Do you have a right of appeal or something? How do you get the B sample? I mean, do you have to go to court to get them to look at it, or how's it?
Nah, you just select that you want it. I guess, retest it, and you have to pay for all of that stuff, and they kind of retest it for you. And again, I think it was leaked. I had a friend that called me and said your B sample wasn't the same as your A before I was notified by the authorities themselves. So it was leaked somewhere else before I was told first.
And what sort of level of relief did you feel when the B sample?
It was like, my manager called me and he had the most relief, and he was like, and he was kind of quiet because I didn't have the same sense of relief, because I was like, man, this shit should have never happened. Like what do you want me to celebrate? Like, this is crazy. Like, I had to even go through that. I think the relief I kind of had, again, thinking about other people, was like, oh, well, like, my family was really happy, everything was really happy, but for me, I was like, man, this is still crazy, right? Like, it doesn't change much, doesn't change the accusation, doesn't change a lot. So there wasn't much of relief. There was still disappointment and anger for that whole period, and I did not feel any relief.
Yeah, because the outcome didn't change what happened.
No,
the result did not change what had happened to you.
What had happened, yeah. And
by the way, you can't change that.
You can't, yeah.
So how do you deal with that? I mean, how do you reconcile and, go back to where you were talking about very much earlier about being at peace?
You can definitely go back at peace, but you can't go back to where you were before.
Do you need to?
I don't think you need to. It just becomes part of your story.
Yeah. And
the easiest way is accept that it happened and try to move on. Yeah. But with that said, it's pretty hard to accept something like that. And I thought I could do it pretty quickly, because like, as an athlete, you build resilience and you build that. But like, I built resilience based on like things that you knew would happen, like injury, not making teams,
things you expect,
like something like that is pretty hard. It's pretty hard to get through, and you realize like it's going to take time, and time is the only thing that's going to heal it. But time and extra work, you got to see people, you got to talk through it and all that stuff, which I didn't want to do. I had no interest in doing at all.
Did you just sort of take a view, fuck them?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
I was probably doesn't solve anything though, does it?
No, it actually just hurts you more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to sort of talk it through. And at the end of the day, Richard Branson once told me this. He said, Mark, we all worry about our own brand. If 50% of the people, if 100% of the people know who you are for whatever reason, good or bad, and only 50% of the people like you, then you've done well.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the other 50%.
That's pretty cool.
So events like this, 100% of Australians know who Peter Bowl is. If only 50% like you and 50% don't like you, and usually the ones who don't like you will tell you.
Yeah.
The other 50% who don't tell you is because they do like you, and they most people don't come out and say I like you.
Yeah.
If they don't like you, they'll definitely tell you. That's sort of actually one measure of success from his point of view.
Yeah.
In terms of branding, personal branding. And,
that is really cool, yeah.